There are people who have primitive devices in their brains right now. So there's deep brain stimulation implanted devices in the brain that have changed people's lives for the better, like fundamentally. Take out a chunk of skull, put the Neuralink device in there. You'd insert the electrode threads very carefully into the brain and stitch it up, and you wouldn't even know that somebody has it. It can interface basically anywhere in your brain. So it could be something that helps cure, say, eyesight, like returns your eyesight, even if you've like lost your optic nerve type of thing. That it could, in principle, fix almost anything that is wrong with the brain, and it could restore limb functionality. So if you've got interface into the motor cortex, and then an implant that's that's like a microcontroller. In your muscle groups, you could then create a sort of a neural shunt that restores somebody who's a quadriplegic to full functionality. Like they can walk around, be normal. The device we're working on right now is about an inch in diameter. Skull is like 7 to 14 millimeters. We got quite a coconut going on there. It's not like some eggshell. Yeah, and you replace that say 1 inch diameter piece of skull with this Neuralink device, and that has a battery and a Bluetooth and an inductive charger, and then you also got to insert the electrodes. So the electrodes are very carefully inserted with our robot that we developed. It's very carefully putting in the electrodes and avoiding any veins or arteries. So it doesn't create trauma. And then you put the device in, and that gets that replaces the little piece of skull that was taken out, and then you stitch up the hole, and you just have a little scar, and that's it. It's a generalized sort of thing for fixing any kind of brain injury in principle. Like if you've got like severe epilepsy or something like that, it could just sort of stop the epilepsy from occurring. Like it could detect it in real time and then fire a counter pulse and stop the epilepsy. I mean, there's a whole range of brain injuries. Like somebody gets a stroke, they could lose the ability to speak. That could also be fixed. So if you've got like stroke damage, or if you lose, say, muscle control over part of your face or something like that. If you get Alzheimer's or something like that, then you lose memory, and this could help you with, restoring your memory, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like think of it as like a bunch of circuits, and there's some like circuits that are broken, and we can fix those circuits, substitute for those circuits. Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. I mean, ultimately, if you want to go with full AI symbiosis, you'll probably want to do something like that.
Symbiosis is a scary word when it comes to AI.
It's optional.
Once you enjoy the Dr. Manhattan lifestyle, once you become a god, seems very, very unlikely you're going to want to go back to being stupid again. I mean, you literally could fundamentally change the way human beings interface with each other.
Yes.
Yes.
You wouldn't need to talk.
I'm so scared of that, but so excited about it at the same time. Is that weird?
Like AI is getting better and better. So now let's assume it's sort of like a benign AI scenario. Even in a benign scenario, we're kind of left behind. We're not along for the ride. We're just too dumb.
Right.
So how do you go along for the ride? It's like you can't beat him, join him. So, and we're already a cyborg to some degree, right? Because you've got your phone, you've got your laptop,
glasses.
You got your
Sure.
electronic devices.
Yeah.
I mean, today, if your phone, if you don't bring your phone along, it's like you have missing limb syndrome. It's like feels like something's really, really missing. So we're already partly a cyborg or an AI symbiote, essentially. It's just that the data rate to the electronics is slow. So especially output, like you're just going with your thumbs. I mean, like, what's your data rate? Maybe optimistically 100 bits per second. That's being generous. And now the computer can communicate at 100 terabits. So this is like basically your computer could do things a million times faster. Or at a certain point, it's like the AI is like talking to a tree. Okay, it's just boring. You can talk to a tree. It's not very entertaining. So if you can solve the data rate issue and especially output but input too, then you can improve the symbiosis that is already occurring between man and machine. Like what happens when let's say you've got some complex idea that you're trying to convey to somebody else, and how do you do that? Well, your brain spends a lot of effort compressing a complex concept into words, and there's a lot of loss, information loss that occurs when compressing a complex concept into words. And then you say those words are then interpreted, then they're decompressed by the person who is listening, and they will at best get a very incomplete understanding of what you're trying to convey. It's very difficult to convey a complex concept with precision because you've got compression, decompression. You may not even have heard all the words correctly, and so communication is difficult. What we have here is a failure to communicate. Cool, Aunt Luke.
I've said is like that there could be potentially a universal language that's created through computers that particularly young kids would pick up very quickly.
Yeah, I think you would, in principle, you would be able to communicate very quickly and with far more precision ideas.
I know that Google has some of their Pixel buds have the ability to interpret languages in real time. Like,
sure.
Yeah, you can hear it, and it'll play things back to you in whatever language you choose. So to be something along those lines.
Really, in the first few versions, all we're going to be trying to do is solve brain injuries. So it's like don't worry that it's not going to sneak up on you. This will take a while.
How many years before you don't have to talk?
Maybe like 5 years, 5 to 10 years.
That's quick.
Best case scenario, but 10 years more like it. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
That's so weird.
I mean, just think like how your phone you can record videos on your phone. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way you could remember a video
right
as accurately as your phone or a camera could. You could recall everything, just like it's a movie.
Crystal clear.
Including the entire sensory experience.
Emotions. Everything.
And play it back. Could be a replayed memory. How do you know you're not a brain in a vat? Right now, here's the thing. You are a brain in a vat. Then that vat is your skull. Everything. All your senses are electrical signals. Everything is an electrical signal to a brain in a vat, where the vat is your skull.